Namaste. Hello and welcome to the Kundalini podcast. That was Zen. This is Tao. I'm Vivek Govekar. This is episode 46. And today I've decided to make one more of these videos when I just talk uh, about general discussion, no specific topic. The general theme of this video, I think I'd like to say, is having fun, being relaxed, and enjoying life. Because what happens is with all of these spiritual videos, people start taking it seriously, and you should take it seriously, but you don't have to have a serious approach towards it. Humor, relaxation, and just enjoying life is a big part of this. So I'd like to emphasize that. Why am I doing it? Generally, when you think about spirituality in traditional cultures or traditional ideas about spirituality, it is something very serious. Also, as we grow older, what ends up happening because of the stress from life, and you have to go out and work and commute, deal with people, all of that ends up making us a bit serious. Now, you've seen in some of my videos, my daughter sometimes shows up. One of the great advantages of having had a child during this Kundalini process is that you learn how much fun life can be. All of these things I'm talking about, being in the moment, uh, not carrying a lot of baggage in your life, enjoying the simple things in life, these can be learned from children. Because all we're trying to do ultimately with spirituality is to go back to that childlike state. Not childish, remember that. Being childish is being immature. See, little kids, even though they're enjoying life, having fun, haven't yet developed the sense of right and wrong. We have to tell them that. They throw temper tantrums and cry. But as an adult, we go to the other extreme. We never cry. We always keep our emotions pent up inside. And we hold on to grudges and we have these serious attitudes. This is my life. Oh, I'm making this money and this is mine, blah, 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 whatever. And we lose some of that sense of childlike wonder. And everyone, from Jesus to Osho to everyone, has said that only those like a child will ascend to heaven. And what that means is, it doesn't mean that you go back to doing the temper tantrums and crying and climbing up, falling down, and stuff like that. What it means is, give up all of this seriousness that you have accumulated that is not necessary. Don't take yourself too seriously. Laugh about things, joke about things. And what you'll find out is, by doing that, you're getting closer and closer to who you were. And that's the whole process. That's the whole journey. As I've said many times, it is a journey towards going to the inner self. And what's the inner self? You were born from the stage of a baby to, let's say, the age of about 8 or 10. You were a child, you were having fun. It was pure innocence. My daughter, if she's crying about something that happened, somebody hit her, one of her friends hit her, or didn't give her a toy to play with, and she cries. About 5 minutes later, she's fine. And that friend and her, they're playing again. And they're best of buddies. So that old stuff is gone. As adults, though, we keep this for a long time and keep hurting ourselves, keep adding to our karma, keep inflating our ego. So that needs to be remembered above anything else. If you're not having fun, then this is not a true spiritual path. The rules that have been given, like I say, pratyahara, when you're withdrawing your senses, not getting carried away, not doing silly things, it is just a waking up, because now you're still an adult. You're still thinking from a mature person's point of view, but you're not giving too much weight to things that happened in the past, to why you were angry at someone. Yes, you dealt with that situation, as I've said in my videos about Aikido or energy vampires. But you're not doing it with any malice towards that person, that individual. You're trying to correct a tendency where that person has hurt you and you have said, okay, at that time I needed to put up a barrier or deflect that negative energy from harming you. You have to protect yourself and your process when you're going through a Kundalini awakening process. And sometimes, if that energy that's coming at you is really harsh, you have to deal with it harshly. But the minute that happens, though, two things to remember. Don't hold on to any of those things. Look, I won over this guy. Or, oh, why does he keep doing that? And now I'm going to punish this person for the rest of his life. No, let go. We are all children in the eyes of God. We may think we are adults and it's that seriousness that is the problem. Seriousness is a disease of the ego. Osho says this. And think about that statement. Seriousness is the ego. I have a person in my life who, on an annual basis, does this long fast and ritual where he reads um, a holy text during a holy period and doesn't like to be disturbed, doesn't like to be bothered. And I called him once around that period, and he's like, no, no, I'm busy right now. This is it's a religious thing, and I'm doing it very seriously. I'm very serious about religious matters. But that seriousness, is it of some use? Is it giving you something spiritually that helps you ascend? Or is that now have that has become a thing that you brag to people like I do this so seriously, I'm serious about religious things. That kind of seriousness is useless on the spiritual path. Seriousness should be a quest, a passion, a devotion. You are doing something because this is giving you joy eventually. But for that, you have to have some discipline and do those things meditation, following some methods, just to put those in you so that they become automatic. Now you're not angry when somebody does something to you because you have put the habit of being mindful of that anger rising within you, the emotions, witnessing them, stilling your mind, and then calmly responding to someone. Finding a solution where, through humor, through a joke, making that person aware of his actions. Look what you're doing. Hey, this is ridiculous. What are we fighting over? Okay? You're dissipating that negative energy. Now, if somebody throws some nonsense at you to provoke you, to push your buttons, and you take the bait, and now you're angry, you walked into a trap. That person, because they are like that, they are good at creating disturbances and getting people mad. They're experts. That is their technique. And now you are at a weaker position because you don't know how to handle that. That person knows how to fight, knows how to create that anger and anxiety and emotion. And they have now twisted you, disturbed your equilibrium, and you're fighting. And if you stop and think, you realize, what am I doing? What's this? What is this about? Is this worth losing my peace of mind? Is this worth losing all the spiritual capital that I have built up that is taking me on a path of progress? Because with that one action and one angry outburst and back and forth, you're coming down to a level. And again, you have to work to build up to that level. Better to not latch on to that and not hold on to that. But how do you do that? Just by saying I'm not latching on to that doesn't work. Which is why constant mindful awareness. If you have been doing it in your free time, then when that confrontation arises, that technique is right there with you. It's like martial arts. Why do you practice the punches and the blocks and work with the Wing Chun dummy and keep practicing those blocks? In an actual fight, you may not exactly execute those things how they're supposed to be done, but you've built up a confidence. Somebody can't scare you just by a big, intimidating guy showing up. Just by showing up, if you're scared, then they have accomplished their goal. just by throwing some nonsense at you to get you emotionally perturbed, they're accomplishing a goal. Your inner stillness, calm, the ability to deflect an attack has been developed in your spare time when those attacks are not coming at you. When you're in the middle of a confrontation, if you now start developing methods, that's too late. So, it has to be done with a light-hearted spirit, not with seriousness. Because any attack that comes at you and you get perturbed, it's the ego that is getting perturbed. And if you have made an effort to remove that ego, to constantly be in that calm state and not take it like somebody saying something, I have to be mad, then when it arises, if that situation arises, you are in that calm state because you have practiced your method, your sequence of events that you're going to put in place when that happens. And go back to that state of lightness, joy. Krishnamurti calls enlightenment a state of sublime indifference. He doesn't care about what happens. That's what somebody asked him. So, what basically can you sum up as enlightenment or the state that you're in? And he said, sublime indifference. I don't care what happens. Which doesn't mean that he's not going to act according to the situation and what it requires. It means he's not bothered already. He's not weakening himself. And his mind is not on a weaker state just by fears of what might happen. There is a calmness. In that situation, you can deal with that attack much better. So, seriousness needs to go. The more seriousness you have, the more rigidity you have, it's more of your ego that has been built up. The more light-hearted you are, you can laugh at something, even a bad situation that happened at you after you have dealt with it. The easier it is to discard, the more that speaks about your state of mind that you have built up. A situation only requires your attention for a small amount of time. But the fear of what will come, oh, or this big guy, or this intimidating person, and you've already gone into that fear mode, then people have figured out that you can be manipulated that way. But if you have practiced these techniques about confrontation, about keeping a calm state of mind, then those are just provocations to be discarded, deflected, removed, so that you can go back to that state of joyousness, state of sublime indifference. While going through life, while going through every one of your actions, if you can detach yourself, but also enjoy the things that are in right in front of you, because you're so caught up with your thoughts, you're so caught up with these things about the ego, you're missing out on something beautiful. It is springtime, there are beautiful flowers. Take the time to look at that flower and enjoy it. You're walking down the street, you're not looking at the flowers, you're not looking at the beautiful scenery, a nice sunset, and you're constantly in your thoughts and talking about these, what am I gonna do to this guy, that guy? No. Like a child, oh, wow, look at that sunset, it is beautiful. That kind of joy, because that is reality. You're living that right now. Instead of focusing on the reality in front of you, you're focusing on some other things that are not real, that are just in your mind. So if you take it with a light-hearted approach, life becomes easier. And dealing with confrontation, dealing with conflict, stress becomes easier and gets you to that childlike state that Jesus is talking about to help you ascend. And the kingdom of heaven is within you, as Jesus says. It's right there, it's right here. You have to discard your ego, yourself, your seriousness, and you have access to that. I hope that was helpful. Thank you. Be well.